Once you make these sourdough discard crackers at home, it is so hard to go back to store-bought crackers. These are my favorite sourdough discard crackers. They literally take 10 minutes to mix up, stick them in the oven, and you have fresh homemade crackers in like 1 hour. So much better than store-bought, crispy, crunchy. I'm gonna walk you through the steps to get the best crackers. You're gonna wanna be saving your discard just for these. I'm Amy from Amy Bakes Bread, and these are my super crispy sourdough discard crackers, the easiest ones you're ever gonna make. I just printed out the recipe for my crispy sourdough discard crackers. You can grab this recipe on my website, amybakesbread.com. Go ahead and print out the recipe so that you can keep it there. It also has like step-by-step directions and all of that for how to make these crackers. They are so easy, they're so simple. I'm gonna show you how to do them right now. I did also want to mention my cookbook. So I have a recipe for these crispy sourdough discard crackers in my cookbook. They don't use any extra flour. The one on my website uses just a touch of extra flour. So if you wanted that fully fermented version, check it out in my cookbook. This is truly one of the easiest recipes that you can make with sourdough discard, and I've even had people tell me that they keep their starter alive and their discard flowing just so that they can make these crackers. They are crispy, they're cheesy, they're super adaptable to anything that you want. And we're gonna use our discard and start out by I'm gonna tare my scale. You guys know how much I love using a scale for these recipes. They come out so much better. I'm going to start with 135 grams, I think, of my discard. So in it goes. You can use discard that's cold from the fridge here if you want to. It may just take a little bit more time to, kind of all come together with the butter and stuff. We're getting our discard in there. Then I tare my scale again, and I'm going to add in my melted butter. We're gonna give those a little mix. Tare my scale again, we'll add in a little bit of flour. I like a little extra flour in this, but like you saw in my cookbook, you actually don't have to add this extra flour. So you could leave that out, or you could get the recipe in my cookbook. The one in the cookbook makes a little bit more crackers than this one does. The flour, it just helps these to be not thicker, but it gives them a little bit more structure, I would say. And depending on your discard, if it's super runny, it can help a little bit. So I mixed in my flour here. Then we're gonna add in the cheese. I love a good hard cheese in this. Parmesan Asiago would be good too. So we're gonna add in the cheese. It complements the sourdough flavor so well. I add just a little bit of salt. The cheese is already kind of salty, so you don't need that much more than just like a quarter teaspoon or so. And then you can also do like a little sprinkle of seasoning. I'm gonna do a little of this everything bagel seasoning, which I really like. You don't have to do any seasoning if you don't want to. Sometimes I'll just season the top of the crackers once they're done. Okay, that is it. That's all that we're doing to mix this dough together. It's how simple it really is. It took me like 2 minutes. Look at that. We're gonna spread it on a parchment sheet thinly, and then we bake it. I have here my batter. It's pretty thick, and we're gonna plop it on this parchment paper. Just get it all out of the bowl like that. I like to use an offset spatula, and you can see how it kind of comes down like this, and that way we can easily flatten and spread these crackers. So this is really all that you're going to be doing, is spreading them on the parchment paper thinly. That would be a little too thin, so you just kind of come back over with your offset spatula and continue with spreading them. But you want to try to get them as thin as you can without having holes in the parchment. So you don't really want to see the parchment coming through, but you still want them to be spread fairly thin. That way they will bake up crispy. So Sometimes when I hear people make these and they say, oh, they didn't get crispy or harden enough, a lot of times it's because in this part they didn't spread them thin enough. So you want to make sure that they are spread nice and thin over the parchment. I try to get it into a rectangle. I've got to say the sour flavor in these really can come through if you use like a stronger, older sourdough discard, and it just tastes so good in these crackers. I really think that sour flavor and cheese especially pair really well together. It's a nice, really nice pairing. Once you've spread this nice and thinly on your parchment, you're gonna have it take up the majority of this parchment paper. And you're gonna slide it right onto a baking sheet. I'm almost done. Just trying to cover up those last little pieces of parchment that sometimes can show through. All right, I'm gonna give it one more sprinkle of seasoning on top. And then we'll stick it on our baking sheet. Okay, this is going into a 300-degree oven for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, you might be thinking that is not very hot, and it's not. After 20 minutes, we're gonna pull this back out and we are gonna cut them using a pizza cutter or a sharp knife into pieces. And then we'll put it back in the oven to get really crispy. So I'm gonna stick this in the oven. All right, I pulled these out of the oven and now we're gonna cut them. I just like to use a pizza cutter and cut them into whatever size crackers you want. I just go down in rows. This is hot, so you do want to be careful. And then we go the other way. These make really nice rustic style crackers. If I picked up a cracker as it is right now, the edges are kind of crispy, but the middle is soft. And so that's why you want to keep baking these, because you want them to be crispy all throughout. Okay, these are going back in the oven. Out of the oven, these are golden, crispy. I cannot wait to dig in. Did you hear that crunch? Oh man. These are incredible. I'm gonna stick them in a bowl when my kids get home. This is going to be the perfect after school snack. Now, if I wanted to store these for longer, I would stick them in an airtight container and they can be for probably I would say 3 to 5 days. Stay in there, and if you want to crisp them up again, if they start to soften, it kind of depends on the environment that you're in, but if they do start to soften, you can warm them back up in the oven just a little bit, crisp them back up a little more. These are just perfect. Just the last few tips to remember. Overbaked crackers are a little bit better than underbaked, so you get that crispy crunch, and the crackers are going to crisp up more as they cool. So let them cool, and then you're gonna get that nice crispy crunch. If you've made these, let me know in the comments below. Save the recipe. This is one you're gonna want to make over and over again, that you're gonna want to discard just to use it. So good.